Let's start with our announcements.
Yeah, there's like,
Was it easy? For me, I went all.
I did want to show one thing. If you're working with your partner, there's a groups icon on the left side here for your group project.
I submitted it already, but I just don't know.
And
Tricia has got it wrong.
this has changed. If you go into your group, there should be the ability to exchange files or to email that person in your group. So this is all under the group
Oh,
icon.
I went to email. Then I went to send email, and then I
Just by money, yeah.
select user, and then I found my first
Okay.
email.
Either way, yeah, you can send email too.
We did.
Yeah.
We just met. We went the long way.
Okay, that's all right. So either way, if you want to get a hold of your partner, that's how you can do it. Next is the due date for the adaptive study plan. And I think this is a good idea. I'll extend it through the 8th. I'll just make it the 8th on the adaptive study plan. Diane likes to do those. She's a great idea. Do those before the test, just to prepare her.
I like to do that.
So I will do that for this assignment. So I'll make this April 8th. That doesn't change it in C now, but I'll make that change. Yes, obviously, yes. Anything else, guys, that you have at this point?
Oh, before I.
Well, let's see what we can come up with as we go through our templates again. I'm going to start with problem 51 on page 320. And I wanted to avoid writing the titles, so I did do that previously. So go ahead, take a few moments, and write the headings in. One thing that you can see here is that it's a weighted average problem. As soon as I see that, the headings change, right? So in my equivalent units section, have the word completed. Because remember, with weighted average, we combine both the beginning and current units together, right? So keep that in mind when you're doing your templates. I'm going to stop the recording here, or pause it, I should say. For problem 51, where do I start in my template? What numbers do they give us at the very top? Completed, ending WIP, right?
Yep.
But it also tells us that they're the equivalent units of output. Do you see that word, equivalent units of output? So in this particular example, they're starting here. Instead of doing step 1, they're starting in step 2 already. So let's fill in the information. I did add, again, a percent column. I would like you to do that for your templates, your Excel project templates. Now, what percentage do I put for the materials? 100. Very good, Kershaw. And for conversion, Kershaw?
100 for the top and 60 for the bottom.
As soon as I see 160, it means it's non-uniform. So, basically, I had 60,000 units in ending work in process at some form of completion, right? I have all my material is already added. That's why it's 100% for material. I'm only as far as 60% putting them together. My labor and overhead is only 60%. So, in a lot of cases, the author will tell you direct materials is added at the beginning of the process. Now, they didn't do that in this problem, but in many of your problems where it's non-uniform, they'll tell you. The encapsulating department for your project is an example of the material being added at the beginning. Just like transfer bid units are added at the beginning. That makes sense.
So based on that statement, you know that any length of size is going to be 100% for material.
It's 100% for materials if I see this,
Right.
where it's added at the beginning of the process.
Right. Okay.
If it says that materials added uniformly through the process, then I would be using the 60% for materials. Correct. Is that all right with everyone? Liz? And we're not here yet on Monday, so. Okay.
Don't worry, I got the notes.
Yay, aren't you? Thank you for helping, whoever gave you the notes.
Oh, online did.
Oh, online? Oh, awesome.
Your radio, you posted
Good
it,
job,
so.
Gary.
You posted it.
Oh, all right. 100% completed was 180. % of 60 is 60. And then 36,000. Total 240. Total 216. On your project also, guys, remember I want the numbers to align perfectly, correct? Use commas. In many instances, like on the equivalent units, I wouldn't have the cents symbol, right? They're whole units, not cents. So no cents on any step 1, step 2 numbers. Going forward is step 3, where we come up with our cost per equivalent unit. So I'm going to move it down. They told us 147,000 for materials. Conversion, 78, 75. Total 154, 875. Current cost, 1,053,000. And then 236, 205. And finally, 1,289,205. I hope my math is okay. 1,244,80, and then 1,000,000.
444,080.
Oh, shoot.
Last one.
You want a 4 here, right, Diane? 144?
Yep.
80?
3/4.
Very cool, thank you. We're gonna divide by our blue numbers. And then what's my cost per equivalent for materials?
$5.
$5 even? And then conversion, 1 point what?
13.
Excellent. Did that come out to Polly? Exactly to 113?
No.
No?
So
Good.
long,
Long
extended
one.
one. Yeah.
All right, so we're not going to be exactly perfect in our allocation. So $6.13 is our cost per equivalent unit. Okay? Completed cost then, and transferred out in dollars is simply taking what I call step 2 numbers times step 3. Step 2 times step 3. So step 2 is our equivalent numbers, step 3 is our purple numbers, our cost per equivalent unit. So we had 180,000 times what? 613, right? Remember, think of completed units, they're done, right? So they have all the material in it, they have all the labor and overhead in it. So that's why we take the total 613 here. Austin, do you have the total or not really? No. Okay. Do you want to get the total?
Yep.
Yes! Let's see that calculator smoke today. All right. Love it. I've been actually thinking of a product where you could have a side pocket for your calculator. Wouldn't that be cool?
Like a holster or something?
Yes.
Yeah.
It'd be right there all the time.
So I got 1,103,400.
Awesome, thank you. Oops. Now, it's a little bit redundant to do this 3 times, but excellent, very good. All right, now we come up to our ending WIP. Now, since we have a non-uniform completion, right, of those ending units, I'm going to have to add 2 computations here because there are different stages of completion. We finished all the material, so we're going to take steps 2's equivalent number of 36, about 60,000 times 5.
You're writing down the right numbers, saying the wrong one.
Exactly. Not a good sign. 300,000, right? And the equivalent number for conversion was how much? 36. Times what, Kapali?
1.30.
Excellent. And did you have a number there?
40,680.
Excellent. Very good. 40,680. So put those in here next. Oh, look at that, it did come out.
Yeah, you with the brownie.
You looked around it, that's shocking. Excellent. So what we started with, we had $1,444,080 starting. We split them, right, into two costs going out with the 180,000 units at $6.13, right? And then what's left? What's left in ending work in process? Weighted average method. Now, just on the test, if I asked for what was the equivalent units for conversion, what would be the answer? Equivalent units for conversion would be what number? No. Equivalent units for conversion would be the 216.
Yeah.
Okay. To Polly, the 113 is what? Cost per equivalent unit. Okay. The reason I'm asking those questions, they're on the template. Students do well, they fill out the template just perfectly, but then I ask the question, what are the equivalent units? And they give me 5 or 1.13 versus the 216 number, do you know what I mean? Or what is the cost transferred out? How much cost was transferred to the next department? 103,400, right? How many units were transferred out? The 180, right? Okay. All right. I can't do FIFO because they don't give me the beginning. So we'll stop here at that. Any questions at home? Sam and Catherine at home, how are you doing? Okay. Good job. Thank you, guys. All right. Let's try another one. Yeah. I'm going to do this. This is going to be a little... Oh, maybe I should do... No, I don't want to do that. Can I have you look at 658? We've already done this one, guys. 658. This is the one we did on Monday. 658. Can you find that? Do you have the other template with the plain sheets on it? I gave you 2 packets. Yep, that's it. Yes, very good. There should be one called 658 FIFO. Austin, I don't know if you have it.
I don't think so.
Yes. Okay.
Yes, I do.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, no, I don't. It's a
No, you
different
don't.
package.
So here we go. First off, step 1 whether it's a FIFO or a weighted average, is the same. Is the same. So if I go back to the other packet, which is where our data is, the beginning WIP, the started, I do have completed because it is a weighted average problem at 150 and ending units were 30. So yeah. We'll leave that one shown. 58. You have the other one. That's it. There you go. And 58. That's it. Excellent. So that's step one, which is the physical flow section. Now on the test, one of the questions will be is to complete the physical flow. Do we use percentages? The answer is no. There are no percentages here at all, correct?
Correct.
No percentages needed. Sometimes students want to use the percentages. Don't get tricked. Step one doesn't have any. It's actually the units. I'm making shoes. 30,000 shoes are at some stage of completion, right? At the end of the month. So, when we're doing step two though, right? That's where the percentages come in. So I'd like you to add a percent column to each of the categories in our product cost, materials and conversion. Now, what's different? Instead of the word completed under weighted average, I now move to started and completed. That's the first change. Next change is this next sentence. What does it take to finish those beginning units? Has to be there for the FIFO method. Next, ending WIP, same. Whether it's the weighted average or FIFO method, the ending WIP is the same computation. So let's start with that same computation. We had how many units in ending WIP? We had 30. What were our percentages? 100, 120. So I'm going to put those in. 100%, 100%, 20%. So is this a uniform problem or a non-uniform? Non-uniform, right? If it were uniform, I'd have 20% the whole way through. So what does this tell me? This tells me that these materials are added at the beginning of the process. Are added at the beginning of the process. Right? I can't start them until I have those cabinets or components to make the cabinets. So 100% was at 30, right? So I could ask on the test, what were the equivalent units for conversion for ending WIP units? So you tell me how many? 6, right? How many units in ending WIP conversion? How many units, equivalent units for cabinets for ending WIP? 30, right? 30,000 equivalent units. Started and completed. I started 120, right?
Yep.
How many did I not finish? 30. So how many must I have started and completed? 90. Does everybody see that? If I started with 120 shoes and I ended up with 30 in ending inventory, that must mean I've completed 90 of those out of the 120. So I'm gonna use 90,000 times what percent? 100 across the board. Always. 90, 90, 90. Now my fear is that tomorrow when you look at these notes, you won't remember where did we get the 90. So how can we help there? Can I say the word started was 120? I subtracted my ending WIP, which was how many? 30. That gives us the 90. Okay, now, if you're going to struggle, it's going to be here. What percentage did I need to do on those beginning units to finish them for cabinets?
40%.
Careful.
Oh, added it. It's 100%. No, 0 because it's added at the beginning, right?
Okay, I got 0, I've got 100, and I've got 40. Which one are we going with? One of those are right.
Should be 100% because it's added at the beginning.
But remember, those beginning units we started last month.
Oh, 0.
It's got to be 0.
Thought process.
Okay, they're 40% done. But what does that mean? Just on the conversion column. So if they're 40% done last month, how much did I do this month to finish them?
That's the 60.
That's where the 60 goes. They were 40% done, right?
Yes. No, there's
66.
60%. 40 right there.
Okay, so we are going to use 40. So are you totally confused now?
Yes.
I do that intentionally.
What do you wear on second?
What was I asking? That's a good question.
Yeah.
These beginning units, I'll put my percentages in. Materials added at the beginning, right? On those units, how many did we have in the beginning? We had 40,000 units. That material was added last month. So I don't have to do any more this month. That's why it's 0. But on conversion, we got 60% done last month, so what did I have to do this month? 40. So FIFO method is the only time you use the complement, right? And what units do I use the complement on? Beginning or ending?
Beginning.
Only beginning, correct? Did I use the complement down here on the ending? No. They're the same whether I use weighted average or FIFO, so that should help. Only on these beginning units do I use the complement. So 0 times 40 is 0, obviously. 0 times 40 is 0. And 40 times 40 is 16,000.
Is it 40 or 60,000?
Is it 60,000?
Yeah, I think it's 60,000.
Come on. Why can't I get these numbers straight today? I had a late night. I didn't get home till 11. Because of school. Gotta go right to the bad right away. 40% of guys, it's 40,000 units in beginning. Am I looking at a wrong problem? Oh, I am. I'm looking at the wrong problem. You're right, 60.
Should be 24,000.
Thank you. I'm just going to have you give me the number. How does that sound? So the equivalent units is 120. Equivalent units is 120. Now this is just coincidence that they're all the same numbers, just by chance, by luck, right? 6 plus 24 is 30, plus the 90 is 120. Okay. So what do you think?
Where'd the 24 come from? Oh, that's the beginning one.
That was the 60,000 beginning units.
I read the wrong number.
See, I'm not the only one.
Thank you.
Mhm. Everybody else? Any other questions? Next is the step 3, cost per equivalent unit. Why don't I just have current cost floating here? What does FIFO say? Can't mix, right? We can't mix it. So never include beginning with current when we come up with our cost per equivalent unit. So I'm going to divide each of these by the step 2 number. Got the first one. Can someone help me on the next two? It doesn't come out nicely. Two ten. It comes out exactly? Oh, good. And then the last one? Oh, that came out also? Wow, all right. So 230, 302 is the total? Okay. Now, we had 20, 210, 72. Look at your other template. I had 20, 210, and 90 for 320. So one of the reasons that FIFO is more accurate is that this recognizes, come on, this was 90 under the weighted average method. So now we know what? Our labor and overhead costs came down this month, right? Quite significantly. So something changed that was occurred. Now that's a dramatic change. Might be because of you're more efficient. Maybe our product runs were greater. Maybe we got more production out. Who knows? But somehow we got a lower number here. But the FIFO will show those changes more quickly than under the weighted average. Weighted average would slowly come down, right? Because it's averaging all the old costs with the new. So that's some of the limitation there. All right, I do have one more question before we leave this one. This is the FIFO method. Tell me how I should compute the cost transferred out. If I'm asking for the cost transferred out, how do I do that?
Let's start and complete it.
Yes, very good, Tom. Started and completed. We're how many units?
90,000
Times what?
The 392.
302,
Yeah.
right? Perfect. Good start. Oh, jeepers. 27,180,000? Oh my gosh. You must be working iPads. iPods. Okay, that's some of it. What else goes with that 27 million? Which one, please? Not the ending, that stays here.
The completed beginning.
Look at our effort. What did we else do this month? We finished these guys, right? But what did we do? Did we add material?
No,
No, so I can skip those.
just conversion.
So I'm going to grab this 24 number, right? To do step 4, we take step 2 times step 3. Does that help? I don't know if that helps you guys.
Yeah.
Equivalent units times, remember, we have this $72, right?
Okay.
We got that by dividing by the 120, which is 24 as part of it, right? So I've got to include that in our cost transferred out. We finished those beginning units. $24,000 times what?
72.
Very good. Not the 302. There's one more thing that we have to add yet.
Would that be the direct material? Because we,
Actually, it's the prior cost, which is how much? I'm going to move it up a little bit. What is considered my prior cost from previous months?
54 million, right? 55 million.
That's current and beginning together. I just want
Oh, the 100, the 19.
the 19 million too,
Yeah.
correct. My prior cost is my beginning with dollars. Think of a production line, right? I'm going to finish those beginning units first. Those 60,000 units I'm going to finish first. It has costs from prior months attached to it. That also has to go out with the number. How much do I get? Oh boy. 46, 47 million? 48 million?
48.
What's my journal entry? I debit WIP next department.
Yep.
If this is the last department, I'm going to debit what?
Finished good.
Finished goods inventory. And credit this department, WIP department A. There's no template here, right? This is your solo look at it. But I could make a multiple choice question without a template. So you've got to be ready for that scenario as far as how do I get this cost transferred out, which is the 48 million. Any questions? Not even a small one? Are we good?
processing.
Let's take a break here. Let's take a break here, and then we'll do our last problem when we get back.
Where does it say that in the problem?
53. So we're going to start with step 2, basically. But we'll put our percentages in so that we get that process done. We'll do this in red. So completed under the weighted average. We start with completed units, not started and completed, right? So they're at 100% always. And then ending units, here again, we're going to have a non-uniform problem. 15,000. 100%, 100%. And the last one is, I think 60, right? 9 over 15, 60%. At least they're smaller numbers, so that's nice.
So where'd you get the 60?
Ah, good question. If the equivalent units were 9,000 per conversion, right? And my materials was 100%, that must mean I must have 15,000 units out there. So I just took a division. On the test, you will be given the percent, so don't worry about this process. So they're just trying to make this a little tougher problem. I wish they wouldn't do that. It'd be nice to give us the step 1. That's where I get that 60%. So 60,000. 60,000. And 60,000. 15. And they've done, the author's already given us this information. So we're just actually just copying it down again.
And that's why I was confused as to start, and I realized that the number they were giving there is that.
Yeah, but I just want to use our template as much as we can. So that's all given to us already. But hopefully that makes sense. So then we go to step 3, right here. The goal of step 3, all goal of step 3, is to come up with our cost per equivalent unit. It's weighted average method, so do we include beginning cost? Yes, right? In our cost per equivalent unit. So 2,100, 15, 3,000, total 6,600. Current cost given 30,910. Oh, excuse me, 900. $30,900, 22,500, 45,300. Total 98,700. Remember on your Excel projects, subtotal underlines 1, right? Double underline to end it. Total cost to account for 33,000. 24,000. 48,300. And a total of 105. 105.3.
Yes.
And like ledger, I'd like to see dollar signs when you do total, that's together. I just haven't been adding them because I'm running out of room. Okay, so now what's my next step?
Find your cost per unit.
Yep.
First,
I gotta divide by what numbers?
top number.
Step 2 numbers,
Yep.
right? The blue numbers. 75, 75, and 69. Just gonna put a single line here. I'm really getting small. $0.44.
32 cents.
32.
70.
70.
Yeah.
146.
Correct.
I'm just adding up those 3 cells to get the $1.46 per unit. Okay, does everybody have those cents? 44, 32, 70. Why am I doing this with ending with at the end here? Why do I have 3 lines for ending with?
There's 3 different steps we have to do for it, for the cost, which is
Yeah, remember this is a non-uniform input, right? So I'm at different stages of completion. So conversion's at a different stage of completion versus materials versus transferred in. So if I have, in step 2, I have a 15 for ending WIP, I have a 15 for ending WIP, and then I have a 9. If I have equivalent units here, I got to multiply those equivalent units times its cost per equivalent unit. So 15 times 44 cents, 15 times 32, 9 times 70. So on the completed units, I don't have to worry about it. They're done, right? So completed, how many did I complete? 60? Times what? 1.46. Because that has the full cost in it, right? Finished units, full cost, 87,600. That's it. That's all we have to do. And that's the cost transferred out to the next department or finished goods. And then ending WIP is where we'll have to take those individual this must be the second department because we have a trans-in column, transferred in. 15 times 44 cents. 15 times 32. And then 9 times 70 cents, right? So materials, conversion. Is it 6,600 for the first one? Yes.
$1,800.
Do we have a slight difference?
Well, they're the same.
They're the same, 105, 300?
Yeah, they're the same.
Okay, good. No rounding issues here. So, what's the ending cost for this department then? If I looked on the balance sheet, what's my WIP cost at the end of the month?
17,700.
17,700, right? So you would see for this department, ending WIP department, whatever, it's 17,700 at the end of the month on the balance sheet, right? Okay. All right. To wrap it up then today, I want to do the same problem, FIFO. But I need some more information. I added, or I need to know, in order to do a FIFO, I need to know how many units were in the beginning WIP. And the problem doesn't give us that information. So I just picked a number. I just made 10,000 as our beginning WIP. Remember, the total transferred out was 60, right? 60,000 completed.
Yes.
But of that 60, 10,000 came from beginning WIP. Right? Those are the ones we do first, FIFO flow. So what must be my started and completed then? 50. If I've completed 60,000 units, transferred them out, 10 came from my beginning WIP. The 50 came from those units I started and finished this month. You've got to know how that comes about. Is that all right? Okay. So, started and completed, percent column, 100 all the time. So add that. A 100% times 50,000 is 50,000 equivalent units. Okay, here's our big question. Teresa, are you up for the challenge?
Oh,
Let's try it. We're looking at our beginning units, right? They're 30% done.
okay.
30% done for what? Which of these three categories is it 30% done?
Conversion.
Conversion. Excellent. So if they're 30% done when I started the month, right? How much effort did I need to finish them?
70%.
70%. Good, excellent. Now I got two other categories, Teresa. What does it say about those beginning units? Materials added at the beginning of the process. So did I add any more material to finish those beginning units this month?
No, you can add more.
So then what, must be what?
0.
0. And when do I add my transferred in units? At the beginning again also. So what must my percentage be? 0. Awesome, good job. You're good with those numbers? You good?
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Ending units, how do we do that? Michelle, do you want to help us there? On the ending units, what percentage would I have? I have 15,000. What's my percentages?
Okay, let me switch back here. 15,000.
What percent are my ending units for transferred in and materials? They're both the same. They're added at the beginning of the process.
So you're ending with then that you don't have anything then? Right, like if you're doing it at the beginning?
We're done with the beginning already. I'm just looking at the ending.
Right, but then we added that, maybe I'm confusing myself, I don't know.
Yeah, I did it earlier
I think
too.
so, yeah. It should be 100%, because we started those units, we just didn't finish
Okay,
them.
I'm thinking the opposite, like I'm thinking that it was already,
Remember,
I'm thinking going out, like, I don't know.
ending
We're ending
units,
with, then we have the 15,000.
yeah. Whether it's FIFO or weighted average, we do the ending WIP units the
And
same.
15,000 for the materials,
Yep.
and 9.
60%, 9,000 units. Good. So we have total 65, 65, and then 66. All right. FIFO method. What's different here?
Those first three, we don't have any numbers, but
Very good. But we still have to track it in our total column.
Yes.
6,600. And then the rest is basically the same, right? We just take our current costs, 30,900, 22,500, and 45,300. And total it 98,700, which is the 105,300 total. What do we divide by?
step two's number.
Step two's number, 65,000. I'm just gonna put that here, guys. I'm not gonna subtotal it. These numbers won't come out very nice. This is not a FIFO problem. And we come up with our cost per equivalent unit. Might as well make it 48 cents. $0.35. $0.69. $1.52. $95.52. Awesome. So equivalent units for materials transferred in is 65, conversion 66, cost per equivalent units for materials transferred in, conversion 48, 35, 69. What I'll do is I'll stop the recording here. What I'll do is add the transferred out cost under the FIFO method. Do you have much room on the bottom?
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit? Okay. So I'm just going to quickly do that here. And if you want, you can certainly follow along. Started and completed were 50,000. So I'm just taking step 2's numbers times step 3. We had to finish, not fish, finish beginning units. And I'm going to put on here, we could have 3, right? If there was activity to finish, if there was materials to add, I could actually have more than just the conversion. But this is 0 in step 2. This is 0 in step 2. And this was 7,000 times 69 cents. And then finally, the prior cost was 6,600 to finish it out. So 50,000 times $1.52 is 76,000. And then 0, and 7,000 times 69 cents is 48.30. Add those all up, and that's our cost transferred out. $87,430. Cost of those goods transferred out. All right, I'm going to stop there. What do you think? You've got 25 minutes yet of your own time that you, if you want to ask questions, certainly do so. Rest of the class, if you want to get something to eat before you go to your next class, go ahead. Have a great weekend, guys, and be safe.